Thank you. That's what I just said.
Sorry, I went by my watch, which is fast. It's actually 3 minutes to go.
How are you?
One minute. Good afternoon. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you to the school board meeting of this Tuesday, December 8th, 2020. The public is encouraged and welcome to address the school board at the hearing of citizens. If you wish to speak during the hearing of citizens, though, please pick up a card in the back and print your name and topic clearly and return the card to our assistant, Kathy Tompkins, over there. At the appropriate time, we'll call you up to speak. Jane Goodwin, who was at our workshop this morning, went home. She wasn't feeling well, so we will miss her. But we have the Riverview High School Army JROTC here under the direction of First Sergeant Fernando Garcia. Please stand for the presentation of colors.
Word, art. Colors. Out, color.
Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, art. Order, art.
Thank you, Riverview High. This morning, or this afternoon, we have George Hernandez from Riverview High as our student representative. Welcome, George. It's nice for you to join us. Please tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Can you hear me? Well, thank you.
Is the little red light on?
Yes, it is.
All right, then speak into the mic. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for having me. I'm George Hernandez. I'm a senior at Riverview IB, as Madam Chair just mentioned. I am interested in going into political science and international relations. Currently, I did work the last 4 years of my life to try to pursue those goals in my career. I am the president of my speech and debate club. I am also the president of Rho Kappa History National Honor Society at Riverview. I'm the head teen ambassador for the Safe Place and Rape Crisis Center, a local domestic violence hotline. I'm a peer educator of Planned Parenthood. I was a delegate for the Florida the Boy States. I was the outreach coordinator for a countywide tool drive in benefit of 2 local non-for-profits. I'm the representative for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Florida at the Florida Department of Education. So as you can see, I do like to keep myself a little busy. And that's basically it about me. I'm very interested in politics and advocacy, and I'm very looking forward to this meeting.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, you do keep yourself busy. You put us all to shame here. Could you tell us a little bit about the civility squad character trait that December is and how it affects you?
Absolutely. So the civility squad trait reads, pay attention, be alert, and be aware, be prepared to show you care. As I just mentioned, I'm from the Riverview IB program, and what IB is known for is, one, assigning a lot of homework and a lot of work. And if you don't pay attention, if you're not aware of your surroundings in your classroom, what your educators are really trying to get to you, and you're most likely going to get behind. So one, that's a very significant part of being in the Riverview school, in the community, and in the IB school, because we have to be alert of all that is going on around us to make sure that we thrive and we succeed in such a enriching academic environment. I also want to mention that this not only applies to school, but what I do outside of school. As I mentioned, I dedicate a lot of my time to advocacy and to political science and to pursuing the goal in my future. And I really have to care about those around me, what they want from me, and what they expect from me to make sure that I thrive in all of the activities that I do. Whether it's speech and debate or Rho Kappa or Planned Parenthood or being the head political intern for Margaret Good for Congress, I oftentimes have to make sure that I am prepared constantly for the presentations I give and for all the expectations that are put upon me.
Well, I hope you continue with all the good work that you're doing. And we have a certificate for you, George, and I'd like to present that to you.
Thank you so much.
Under special presentations today, we do have something really special, and I would, we're going to have Principal and Assistant Principal of the Year, and Circus Art Conservatory, Dr. Els. Did you want to introduce them, or you want me to? With Steve Cantees and Carol Brown.
So good afternoon, school board members, Superintendent Asplin, Mr. Hardy, and Student Representative George Perez. Tough act to follow, I have to say, but we're going to do the best we can. First of all, I want to introduce Carol Brown. Carol K. Brown is our Director of Leadership here in Sarasota County, and then she's going to introduce the program that we're going to be talking about here first today. So, Carol.
Good afternoon. The Outstanding Assistant Principal Achievement Award and the Principal Achievement Award for Outstanding Leadership were both established to recognize exemplary assistant principals and principals for their contributions to their school communities. The program honors assistant principals and principals that have spearheaded initiatives to increase student performance, promote safe learning environments, and establish partnerships with parents and community members. Previous state winners from Sarasota County Schools are Dr. Rachel Shelley, principal of Booker High, and Barbara Shirley, principal of Alta Vista Elementary. The 2021 state winners will be announced in January. Good luck to both of our Sarasota County Schools administrators. It is my pleasure to invite Executive Director of Secondary Schools, Steve Canties, to announce the Sarasota County Schools Assistant Principal and Principal of the Year.
Okay, thank you, Carol. I appreciate it. What an honor it is to have the opportunity to present these two school-level administrators to you today. When one thinks about the quality of administrators, principals, and assistant principals that we have in this district, you'll begin to see how great these two are at their jobs. We have asked so much of our school staff this year, and certainly that applies to our administrators too during this unique environment that we're operating in. These two administrators I'm presenting today make us all proud every day. They are great supports for their staff. They provide wonderful guidance for students and parents. They are innovative educators, and they're tireless workers. So first of all, I'm going to ask that McHenry Larabors come on up. So Mr. McHenry Larabors, he's an educator for over 15 years. He's received his bachelor degree in political science from Florida A&M University, and he has a master's degree in educational leadership from the University of South Florida. Before assuming his role as assistant principal at McIntosh Middle School, he works there with Dr. Harriet Moore, who's here in the audience today, one of our principals here in Sarasota County. Mr. Larabors previously served as an assistant principal at East Bay High School in Hillsborough County, and that's where he designed and implemented continuous improvement programs in the school. He's previously served as a multi-tiered systems of support district coordinator for Hillsborough County Schools. We rely on him when we work through our PBIS programs and our MTSS programs. He's been a great support for us here in Sarasota County in that area. He was a teacher at Progress Village Middle Magnet School of the Arts and a teacher in Miami-Dade County Public Schools. McHenry is married to Davia Larabors. She's an executive director for the Pace Center for Girls, a single gender intervention school-based program for female students. He has two sons, Joshua, who's 12 years old in 7th grade, and Micah, who is 9 years old in 4th grade. I will present to you now the Assistant Principal of the Year in Sarasota County, McHenry Larabors.
Distinguished school board members, and Superintendent Asplin, it is with great honor that I accept this award and the privilege of representing Sarasota County Schools as the Assistant Principal of the Year. I would like to thank my fearless principal, Dr. Harriet Moore, for being a mentor and a source of inspiration to me. My deepest thanks to Mr. Cantis and Dr. Brown for embracing me as part of the Sarasota County family and their willingness to support me in my development of a school leader. To my wonderful wife and two sons, you are the reason for my success, and I love you dearly. Thank you for your untiring support, and it is my genuine belief that being an educator is a calling. To educate this generation that will one day be the future of our society is not only the best work, but it is God's work. And I am so fortunate to work among the most amazing leaders in this state. Thank you again for all you do for our students.
Congratulations. You might want to move in a little bit. You guys want to, George, you want to move in a little bit? You want?
Okay, now let's move on to the Sarasota County Principal of the Year. Everybody knows Mr. David Jones, the principal at Sarasota High School. He's been an educator for 30 years. Mr. Jones received a bachelor's degree in social sciences from Colorado State University, master's degree in computers and technology in education from Lesley University. Before assuming his role as principal at Sarasota High, Mr. Jones served as the principal of both Northport High School as well as McIntosh Middle School, as well as an assistant principal and a mathematics teacher at Sarasota High. He also served as a teacher at Emily Griffith Technical College, a teacher at the Gilliam Youth Services Center, a teacher at Crest Hill Middle School, and a teacher at Semler High School. And most of you know also that David Jones, in his previous profession, or one of his other professions, he was an illusionist, a magician. And so when I wrote his letter for Principal of the Year, I made sure to mention that although he is a magician, the work that he does in a school is not magic. It truly does transform our schools. So he is pretty amazing with his magic tricks. I don't know if you have anything up your sleeve today, Mr. Jones. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. So anyway, David's married to Kathy Jones. She's an amazing math teacher at Riverview High School, one of our best. He has 4 children. Laura Sigris, she's in Denver. She lives in Denver. Nathan Jones, who also lives in Denver. Nicholas Jones, who lives in Chicago. And Paul Jones, who also lives in Chicago. You know, our district prides itself on talented school leaders, and David Jones is no exception. Please join me in congratulating him on being the Sarasota County Principal of the Year.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, honorable board members, Dr. Asplin, Mr. Hardy, and George. Thank you for representing my wife here today, who has an appointment, but since she's at Riverview with you, you're going to be in her stead. Thank you. I'd like to just say something that Mother Teresa used to always say. She said, "You can do things that I can't do, and I can do things that you can't do, and together we can do great things." The reason I like that quote is because any greatness that's exemplified and any honor that's bestowed upon me, and I'm so deeply appreciative and so humbled and so honored, I'm amazed. But I know that any greatness is because of a team effort. Any way that I look great, it is because I have great people around me. And it does begin with my wife. And I noticed that you gave McHenry's the age of his kids. And by the way, McHenry's one of the finest human beings on the planet, so congratulations to him too. He didn't give the age of my kids because it's embarrassing, you know, to have a daughter almost as old as me. It can't happen. But they're all grown, they're adults, and they're awesome, and they are a rock, and my wife is truly amazing. But beyond that, I have probably some of the best assistant principals that I have ever, I couldn't even imagine having better. Some of the most amazing teachers, some of the most amazing staff members, and certainly some of the most amazing kids. And I don't say that just because it needs to be said. I say it because it's true. Again, any honor that's bestowed upon me, any way I look great, it is truly because there are great people around me. Thank you for this honor. Thank you for acknowledging hard work that goes into education. I, along with McHenry, absolutely believe it's a calling and a passion. It's nice to be able to wake up every morning and do something that you love to do. So thank you all. I accept this honor and I appreciate it deeply. Thank you.
David, well, Steve said what you do magic, but this isn't magic. Well, it might not be magic, but I think it's magical what you're doing with some of those kids over there.
Thank you.
Us? Yeah, you can be a board member. Come here over here.
Okay, both of our award winners will go on to state competition, and as Carol said, that Dr. Brown said, we have had 2 previous winners in fairly recent years, and I know David and McHenry will both be competitive at the state level. Certainly in the letters I wrote, I encouraged them to select them as winners because they deserve it. We did recognize both of them at their schools. We surprised both of them at their schools and at a recognition at their schools, and it was fabulous. So we're going to go ahead and move on, if it's okay, to the Circus Arts Conservatory. One of the things that makes Mr. Jones an amazing leader is his innovation. And in the environment we operate in education now, you have to be an innovator. You have to be moving all the time, be willing to change. One of the things that David Jones brought to Sarasota High School is one of the few, I can't imagine there's any others, but maybe there's 1 or 2 out there somewhere. We have a Circus Arts Academy at Sarasota High School. And so we've invited Mr. Jones to come in and talk to you about, give you an update on where we are with the Circus Arts Academy. He's also brought some members from the conservatory here to speak about the progress we've made. So, Mr. Jones, if you could come back again one more time.
Absolutely. Let me just go ahead and have the team that's come on, Dolly, and everyone. So thank you again for allowing me to talk about the state of the Circus Arts Magnet Program. When I had a vision a few years ago that knowing that the circus was born out of Sarasota High School, or let me say the Circus Arts program that we have here, currently the Circus Arts Conservatory, but that program was birthed there, and yet it hadn't continued. And I had this vision, wouldn't it be amazing, since I see kids working out 6-7 hours a night, working on their circus arts, couldn't it become something that was happening in-house, at least for part of the day? And I just mentioned earlier that it takes a team, and together we can be great. The school board came together, every single person voted and enabled us to do something amazing. You're looking at a lot of people behind me, and I want to talk just for a second about stewardship. When you see, and we're going to be scrolling through a whole bunch of slides and pictures, our kids are working in a multi-million-dollar facility. They are being trained by internationally renowned, I mean, there's so many people to thank. I've got Dolly and Pedro here. They're known all over the world. They're involved. Jennifer Mitchell, the phenomenal CEO. We've got Karen Bell. We've got Dr. Denise Cotton. All of these people contributed to putting this program together and making it work. And it's awesome. But let me tell you what we get. And by the way, here's what it costs us as taxpayers. This is phenomenal. We pay for half of one teacher. And she is magnificent, our instructor, Allie Hetherington. But that's all we pay for. And what do our kids get? Fantastic facility. They get instruction from 2 Cirque du Soleil artists, everyone that they bring in. And I want to brag about the relationship because the circus is incredible. We wanted to do an orientation. We wanted to do it safely. So we wanted to be able to broadcast. This is just an example. Do you know that they brought their whole team of volunteers, set up a professional production so that we could deliver remote instruction to our kids? So it is truly remarkable. And I want to plant a seed in your head because some of the pictures you're going to see, we see this picture or this program growing more and more and more. And I think you'll be impressed when you see kind of some vision that we have for further expansion that's going on. So Jennifer, I could have you, are you speaking next? Dolly and Pedro, come on up, 2 phenomenal people.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having us here. It's an honor. For those of you who don't know, I'm Dolly Jacobs. I'm born and raised here in Sarasota, part of the Sarasota school system, part of Sailor Circus as a child. I'm the daughter of the late, great Lou Jacobs, and I hope you all remember who he was. The Circus Arts has taken me and my husband all around the world, but I've always called Sarasota home. And it's a great honor and privilege to be able to pass the torch on to the children of our community and to know that the great life lessons they learn, not only physical feats that they achieve, but also the great life lessons that they take with them, no matter what field they go into. So I'm very proud and happy to be able to give back to our community, and thank you for having us here.
Dolly, if you could, I know you were a graduate of Sailor Circus. You participated, but that was there even before you. Didn't you just recently celebrate a milestone at the Sailor Circus building? How long has it been there?
Well, the building's been there, I'm not sure exactly how.
Early 80s.
But the Sailor Circus has been
program.
around for over 70 years.
70 years.
72 years, I believe, going on 72 years. Yes.
This partnership with the schools and the circus,
Yes.
that's wonderful.
And it started because there were so many great artists that were homesteaded here from the Ringling Brothers Circus when they had their winter quarters here, and all the families had children that were in our school system, and they were so athletically advanced, they created this program. I think it's
Thank you.
wonderful.
Good afternoon. My name is Pedro Reis. I'm the founder, along with my wife, as president and CEO. I was born in Cape Town, South Africa, and studied under a very similar program, Sailor Circus, at the local YMCA in Cape Town. The circus gave me a great opportunity to travel around the world. I got an incredible education by doing that. And while the circus arts is very important to us, and while the circus arts is a great performing arts discipline, education is in the forefront of our mission. So right now, I'd like to introduce Jennifer Mitchell, our Vice President and COO, who's going to tell you a little bit more about what we do at the Circus Arts Conservatory. Thank you.
I think we arrow. Let's see. How we,
Enter.
I think it's arrow. We'll try it just back the other way. Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon. I just actually, before I start talking about the Circus Arts program, as a school district parent, a parent of a student at McIntosh Middle and Sarasota High School, really want to congratulate both of those administrators. Well deserved. And so proud to be a parent here in this school district as well. Since 1997, it should show. There we go.
Here we go.
Since 1997, the CAC has been training and teaching artists and students, delighting audiences, young and old, and providing humor therapy to seniors. As a nonprofit organization, we do produce professional shows and performances with a local economic impact of about $8 to $10 million annually, and we continue to pay homage to the legacy of circus that's so unique and special to Sarasota. As mentioned, Ringling Brothers moved the winter quarters here in the 1920s, and with it came thousands of circus artists, staff, support people, and it's shown a new spotlight on Sarasota, and that impacted the social and economic life here in ways that obviously are still visible here today. We're recognized for our leadership within the circus industry worldwide. Pedro and Dolly themselves are each legends in their own right. They've both been inducted into the Circus Ring of Fame, the John and Mabel Ringling Museum Circus Museum Hall of Fame, and in 2015, Dolly became the first and only circus artist in history to be awarded the National Endowment for the Arts National Heritage Fellowship. It is the highest arts award in the land. In the summer of 2017, CAC partnered with the Smithsonian, here you can see, to present its annual Folklife Festival as a lead collaborator, bringing the circus arts to the National Mall in Washington, D.C. for over 1 million visitors. Students in the Sailor Circus Academy and students from Sarasota County School Districts, Sarasota High School, and other schools participated in this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. For most people, the word circus is synonymous with the greatest show on earth. At CAC, at Sarasota High School, and here for the Sarasota County School District, circus is synonymous with the greatest teaching tool on earth. Since 2012, we've instructed more than 50,000 students here in elementary, middle, and high schools in lots of arts-integrated educational programs that help with science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, as well as language arts, theater, and physical education. We motivate students in a different way. We look for their curiosity, enthusiasm, and imagination, and help them to capture those emotions. Our school programs provide project-based kinesthetic learning experiences for all ages, for all learning abilities and all learning styles. Circus is a beautiful art form of movement and skill, but it also offers great lessons in physics and engineering. In fact, I want to tell you about a very special program, our 5th grade curriculum, the Circus Science Machine, which demonstrates math, science, and art in a team problem solving required to produce a contraption-based circus performance. In fact, in 2019, 450 fifth grade students participated and were assessed in their knowledge of physics and Newton's laws after learning our curriculum. 93% had a passing score on the post-assessment test. We had hoped for a learning gain of 36%. We got a learning gain of 56%. So that's a little bit of the work we do in the classroom, in your classrooms. But our organization, as David said, also stewards the newly renovated Sailor Circus Arena. And I want to tell you a little bit about that. You're seeing it here. It's the nation's largest and preeminent youth training facility, and it's our largest tool in educating and training young people. In 2018, we completed a $5 million renovation project. And I want to tell you it included air conditioning with ionization and a purification system that's been installed, new flooring, retractable seating, fire suppression, life safety, updated additional restrooms, improved ADA compliance, world-class lighting and sound, and it created a state-of-the-art educational circus training and performance facility. The arena is home to the Sailor Circus Academy, which Shirley mentioned, is the longest-running youth circus in the country. And it's a program that combines athleticism with artistry. One of the most significant aspects of the circus arts is that it has no boundaries. The art form itself is a celebration of seeing humans push limitations. In the circus arts, there's no separation of teams by gender or by age or by physical attribute. How that translates into real-life career skills is unparalleled. We don't always get to pick who we work with, who's on our professional teams, who's in our classrooms, in our offices. So learning to work with others and communicate through effective teamwork are vital skills for future success. Students are literally and figuratively building each other up in acrobatic pyramids using skills that will help them soar in their careers. When I think of these young students hanging from their toes, I know that they're learning perseverance and commitment, and what it takes to execute these skills is important. Their experience that anything is possible when you work hard and are open to learning. One of the biggest achievements, however, in circus arts education nationwide happened last year in August in 2019 in partnership with Sarasota High School. The first ever accredited Circus Arts Magnet program was launched. And I'd like to give a huge shout out to Mr. David Jones and to Mrs. Michelle Anderson for bringing the students a unique and innovative learning opportunity. They had vision and shared our passion and wanted to make a better experience for our young people. I also want to thank Dr. Denise Cotton of USF, and of course our Education Task Force for helping to bring this program to fruition. Together, Sarasota High School and CAC developed a 4-year progression for students interested in studying the circus arts with unparalleled depth for high school credit toward their diploma. The partnership between these two entities is like no other. It's the only one in the nation, and it certifies that the circus arts is a tool for educating. Initially, the program focused on physical education courses, due in large part to the nature and the skill and the discipline in the circus arts. But as students are moving through the program, other disciplines like visual arts, business management, history, and vocational studies are incorporated. Within the development of each student, what we're seeing is a level of professionalism that they are building and the skills and business understanding necessary to compete in the workplace, to truly be competitive in a 21st century global economy in any industry. These students will need to be able to juggle more than just clubs. They will need to have 21st century skills, understand collaboration and teamwork, creativity and imagination, critical thinking, and problem solving. So then reaching beyond this amazing partnership with Sarasota High School and thinking how it could be enhanced by a feeder type program, and again in collaboration with USF's Center for Paint, CAC combined this year with the incredible Dr. Frost and the team at Booker Middle School. Booker Middle School's new Circus Arts program is being offered to all 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. The program is designed to provide an opportunity to promote meaningful, authentic, and culturally sustaining learning opportunities. This innovative new VPA discipline demonstrates the importance of rethinking school curricula, informing teachers and students on how to incorporate history, arts, race, circus, and culture to improve the environment for all. So with the upgrading of our youth circus arena and these staple education magnet programs in operation, we completed phase 1 of a planned expansion. Already the arena is used to capacity, and on many days, we do seem to live up to the idiom of a 3-ring circus. The next phase and future for CAC is an expansion on the current property we occupy next to Sarasota High School. It will bring a much-needed enlarged campus, multi-purpose facilities, classrooms, dressing rooms, training and performance spaces. We will follow up from today's presentation in a more thorough setting to present a proposed expansion, but you've seen a couple of the renderings as teaser images in today's PowerPoint. We will also be respectfully requesting an extension of the current lease to 99 years. Completion of a master plan will solidify Sarasota as the epicenter of circus arts in America and bring to reality an international arts education and circus training institution. CAC's vision has plans to enhance our partnership with Sarasota High School to attract students worldwide, providing higher levels of training and education, as well as expand those opportunities through the circus arts to include collegiate partnerships, work-study programs, and greater access as an international connector. Thank you to the school board, thank you to Sarasota High School administrators, and everyone who helped support these amazing programs being brought to fruition.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to thank you for giving us an update. And also, I mean, a lot of us know Sailor Circus, and we're always going to call it Sailor Circus, just like, you know, the technical college is going to be VOTEC for some of us forever. But when we could no longer, the school district could no longer run the circus program over at Sailors, then the PALS, the Police Athletic League, took it over. And then they said they couldn't do it, and it was going to go away if not for Pedro and Dolly stepping up and doing this. And they've got it under this umbrella, this not-for-profit umbrella that raised the money to redo the Sailor Circus Arena. And to see these plans that you've got is just wonderful. We have some comments from the board. Ms. Ziegler?
Thank you. Well, first, I don't know if you can see me smiling, but I do want to say congratulations to McHenry's and David. I am so excited, and congratulations. There is truly no better example to represent Sarasota County in your leadership, so I could not be more proud and excited for both of you. And then moving to the Circus Arts Magnet Program, when this first came about, and one thing that's so remarkable certainly about David is when he's definitely tenacious, and so I am very excited that Sarasota County is able to adopt this, but it really would never have been able to be possible without your innovation, your collaboration together. And so it's just a great honor to see this continue to flourish and pivot with the unique circumstances that we're finding ourselves in with COVID, that you guys are still moving ahead. So congratulations, and thank you, thank you, thank you.
One thing that you didn't bring up is you have a summer program where there's weekly camps, and I know you had, I think my granddaughter took 2 or 3 weeks of, and it's great. They go for a week, and on Friday they do this great show. I love it. And if you could talk about how many kids are involved in that. And you've normally had a winter program on that break between Christmas and New Year's. Are you able to do that this year, or how are you going to handle that?
So certainly all arts organizations have been impacted tremendously through the pandemic, but we implemented safety measures across all areas of the organization. Right away worked with the team at Sarasota High School to be sure that the magnet program could continue for those students. We have some remote learners and we have some on-site learners, and we've continued that with strict protocols in place. We have other programs that are operating with social distance, masks, and lots of health measures in place. So we are continuing with a summer camp program. In fact, when we took over Sailor Circus, just a quick statistic to show you the interest in youth, it was about 2013, I believe. We launched a summer camp program. We had about 100 students that came into summer camp. We were thrilled. Last year, before the pandemic, we had 700 campers. So the numbers increased tremendously. I think it's the combination for young people to engage in something that's athletic and artistic. They really get the best of both. So along with our school programs, of course, in-school programs and incredible partnership with Sarasota High School, we host a whole slew of other youth and adult programs open to the public.
Will you have a winter program?
We will have a holiday show, limited capacity in-person seating. We'll be offering a digital ticket. The major fundraiser for the Sailor Circus Academy annually are the 2 performances, both at the holiday time and the springtime. We have a cast of about 40 extremely dedicated students who are training hours to prepare for these upcoming shows. So we're hopeful that with all the safety measures we have in place, we'll have small but excited audiences.
So there'll be some in-person audiences, but there'll also be some
Online experiences.
online
digital tickets
experiences, and they
available.
would go to, how would they get those tickets?
Ooh, I like it. Circusarts.org. Circusarts.org. Come and visit us, learn more about our programs, buy tickets, support all of the arts in our community who really need it, and of course, the Circus Arts.
Yeah, I understand somebody's already got a ticket for that, the 26th performance, but I won't mention that superintendent's name. Karen?
I just wanted to make sure I congratulate Assistant Principal Larabor and recognize that your mentor, Dr. Moore, who has incredibly high expectations, and you notated her mentorship, that she can't say enough exemplary things about you, and we're proud to have you as part of our district. And to move on to Principal Jones, we go way back. We've co-principaled together for many years, and I want to thank you for your passion, your insight, and it's all exemplified in the Circus Arts program. You outdo yourself on a regular basis, and we are blessed to have you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Edwards?
I'd like to congratulate McHenry and David. I mean, I have just been visiting school and blown away by the exceptional talent that we have, and to see both of you here today with those awards, it's a slam dunk as far as I'm concerned. Well done, gentlemen. And it's like Christmas and the circus. I mean, it's so exciting. I learn something new every day. Here I am, a school board member in a learning institution, in a learning environment, and I learned today about your wonderful program. I can't wait to see it. And now I'm looking forward to seeing if I can get one of those tickets. Congratulations. Well done.
And they make all their uniforms, too, or their outfits. It's wonderful. And Dr. Asplin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to also say congratulations, Mr. Larabor. It was great to come out and see you the other day out of school, and I know you've done phenomenal things out there as a school leader, and we really appreciate you. And I know Dr. Moore always speaks so highly of you, and we appreciate all you do out there. And then, Mr. Jones, again, congratulations to you, sir, for everything that you've done. And I do need to make a comment about the illusionist piece. You know I have to. But the first time I met Mr. Jones, and I went in and sat there in his office with him, and somehow we got on that topic, the magician topic, and he pulled out his cards and his deck of cards, and to this day, I'm telling you, he is extremely talented. I was literally 1 foot away from his hands, and I can still not figure out what he did. And he did it over and over, and I still couldn't figure it out. So just amazing, and you cook really good ribs on the grill too. So that's excellent. But anyway, thank you so much for everything that you do as well. I really do appreciate it, and also thank you for informing us of the Sailor Circus Arts program. And I'm really looking forward to coming and seeing and having a tour there. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, we've got one more speaker. George?
Well, as a student rep, I really just wanted to thank you guys because so many of my dear friends have been impacted by your program, and they always talk up the Sailor Circus, and I think it's so important to mention that you really do life-changing work for the people who participate in this program and in this project. But I also wanted to touch upon how much determination and grit it takes to continue art and artistic endeavors in a global pandemic. So I wanted to applaud every single one of you up here for continuing this important program that not only enriches our community, but the students partaking in it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would be, sorry, and I would be remiss if I didn't say on behalf of Caroline Zucker all that the circus has meant for her boys. And her oldest grandson is now in college studying circus. So it's wonderful. There are, FSU has a program for circus too. So it isn't just middle school, high school. It can go on to college, and it's a wonderful program, and I'm glad you brought this forward, Mr. Jones, and all of you over at the Circus Arts Conservatory. Thank you for not only taking this on, but expanding it beyond what we would. And I know we added air conditioning, but on a day like today, air conditioning is also heat, right? You're heating it today? All right, thank you.
One final comment, and you know, when it's like the main point you want to make and you forget about it. When we were creating this, obviously we had to be absolutely aligned with Florida Department of Education curriculum. I couldn't have done it without Michelle Anderson there, and a phenomenal, brilliant genius that helped put together the Law Academy at Booker and now the Circus Arts Academy here. So I just wanted to make sure I did that. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Next, we move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few items here. First of all, I want to also recognize Ms. Carol Lavallee. She's a teacher at Pineview School, and I want to recognize her for being selected to participate in the Fall 2020 Inspiring Student Research Webinar Series. This program is a collaboration between National History Day and the Library of Congress, and includes only 58 teachers from around the world. So congratulations to her on that. Also, I wanted to congratulate Dr. Tommy Tusia, Booker High School teacher, who was chosen as one of the top 100 history teachers in the country for 2021 by the National History Day organization, and has been invited to participate in a 90-hour National History Argumentation program through the University of San Diego. So congratulations to Dr. Tusia. Also, just a reminder once again, for those of you who might be thinking about becoming a sub for our district, substitutes, we are in need, and you can find this on our webpage. This is a new flyer, and I wanted to mention this because we have a new incentive. For those of you who are subbing for us, $125 for working 15 days during each quarter, which means that's a possible $500 for the year. Also a $100 bonus for working 15 days for all 4 quarters, so that actually could be $600 for the year. And so we would love to have you come and apply here in our school district. And again, here's the flyer. Just find that on our webpage. Students can now, just so we know, besides using our school libraries, our students can now digitally access books and reference material anytime through OnePass, the district's innovative partnership with Sarasota County Public Libraries, linked to their My SCS. And we're very thankful for the continued support of our community partners like the Sarasota Public Libraries, who carefully curated these free digital resources for us. So thank you to them. Food and Nutrition Services handed out 4,530 meals to help our students have additional food during the district closure during Thanksgiving break. So we appreciate them. And December 18th, 2020, from 4 to 6 p.m., again, December 18th, from 4 to 6 p.m., we'll be handing out meals for the winter break. So Food and Nutrition Services will be serving at 6 locations throughout Sarasota County. That'll be in Sarasota, Venice, and Northport. All children will be able to sign up through Eventbrite, and register to get meals. So please do that. Those are free meals. Again, December 18th, 4 to 6 is when we'll be handing those out. And then also, as you know, every month I like to take about 5 or 10 minutes, and Mr. Dumas will show us what's going on in the area of construction. I know we always have a few different projects going on, and the one we wanted to show you for about 5 minutes is the Riverview High School Track and Field Project and the Northport High Track and Ticket Booth Project. So, Mr. Dumas.
Thank you very much. So we thought this month we'd highlight a few projects that are kind of under the radar. They're smaller projects, but if you remember a few years ago, the board established in their capital budget a line item to update not only our tracks throughout the district to go to a rubberized track, but also our main football field on every site. And so we're going to a synthetic turf at all of our comprehensive high schools across the district. So that project has started. Riverview High School, hopefully you can see this picture right here. The track was not done in this picture, but that's a great example of what the field looks like. It's, again, it's all synthetic turf. And so, feedback from not only the school, but the players is that they love the field. And the good thing about this field is you can play on it anytime. You don't have to worry about damaging turf. We don't have to get on and paint all the lines all the time. And so we think it's a great upgrade at Riverview High School. And again, there is also a matching rubberized track that Riverview High School was in need of a new track for years. And so they've got a great facility now to go ahead and play on. So that's Riverview High School. So that was our first project in the district under that capital improvement plan line item.
Didn't you raise that field too because it used to flood?
Yeah, so some of the things that were done are in and around that project, they call it the Ram Bowl, and it really is, it's a bowl of water when it would rain, so there was a lot of elevation things that had to be done on that project. That was actually a $2.5 million project because of all the elevation changes we had to do on that particular site. Let me highlight now Change Schools. This is Northport High, and Northport High is, again, in the implementation phase of that same line item. We completed one piece of that project down there, which is the rubberized track. And so what you're seeing now is an 8-lane rubberized track down there for Northport High to compete on. We will be going back and getting the field at a later date. So we're kind of working with James Slayton, our athletics director in the district, making sure we're being equitable in where we do these projects. And so track is done at Northport High. We'll be coming back and doing the field in the near future. So that's at Northport High. Also at Northport High, if you've been down there to any of the games, this is another picture of the track from a different viewpoint. Is the front entrance to that particular facility. If you remember, there was a, and this is not done yet, there's a ticket booth going in here, it just wasn't on site yet, but if you remember, it was kind of an old shed sitting there that they would sell tickets out of, so we tried to upgrade the entrance to that facility, and so there'll be also a new ticket booth going in right there, but that's kind of the entrance to the Northport Bobcat new track and field area. So that's also a great upgrade for that program. And then I thought while we're here and we're talking about the athletic facility, some of you may remember, we partnered with the baseball boosters at Venice High School to create a better entrance for them in their ticket booth. And so this is the finished product at Venice High School, partnering with their athletic boosters for baseball. And really a great entrance to that facility now too. So some smaller projects around the district that kind of go under the radar, but they really make a big impact on campus. And I think it's great for student athletes across the district. So with that, that's my construction update for today.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Dumas, for that update. And then our last item is our COVID update, our once-a-month COVID update. We do have the Department of Health on the line with Chuck Henry and Michael Jernin, and we'll get to them in just a second. Just to give you a couple of numbers, first of all, our current staff positivity rate in our schools, staff positivity rate right now is 16. Current student positivity rate is 65. Our current staff quarantine rate, contact tracing rate is 51, and our current student contact trace and quarantine rate is 469. And I know, like I said, we have them on the line as well, and we also want them to talk to us just a little bit about the change in the quarantine days from the CDC. Going from 14 days to 10 or 7. So with that, I will hopefully see them on the line here. Do we know? Yes, there we are. Hi, Michael.
Dr. Asplin, how are you doing?
I am well. Everyone. I'm well. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you.
Good. Can you just give us a quick update throughout the county, and then also with the new CDC quarantine days information?
Sure. So just a quick update on the numbers and percent positivity we're seeing in the community and rate of illness. As we discussed at the last meeting, we've continued to see an overall increase in the number of cases and the rate of illness in the community. We go back to the start of the school year, August 31st, we were averaging about we're averaging about 36 cases a day. over a 14-day period, and today we are averaging about 148 cases a day. Also looking at percent positivity for 14-day period on August 31st was 2.81, and today it's 5.41. Now, one of the reasons why that percent positivity is not as high or reflective of the, an equal increase in the number of cases is because our ability to test has greatly expanded, not only since the summer, but since the beginning of the school year. So with more tests being done, that percent positivity is inherently just a little bit lower than it would have been going back several months. The big number to look at there is the number of cases in the community, almost as high as what our high was in July, which was 167 cases a day for a 14-day period.
And that's countywide, correct?
I'm sorry?
And that is countywide, correct, those numbers?
That is countywide, that is correct. It's difficult. I mean, we can look at percent positivity for individuals that are less than the age of 18. That number's right at 9% for a 14-day period. The caveat to always remember with that age group is the volume of tests is typically lower, and most of those individuals, most parents are taking their children to be tested when they are sick. And so we're going to see a little bit higher percent positivity there. With that being said, we continue to see cases in the schools, although most appear to be associated with contracting the illness outside of school. We're not seeing significant spread within the school system, which is encouraging. Definitely the practices the district have put in place and the strategies the district has put in place are paying dividends in preventing spread in the school system. Unless there's any questions over the numbers, I can give an update on the quarantine process, or I can do that and then answer any questions afterwards.
Just go ahead and give us that update, and then we'll ask questions.
Sure. So about a week ago, CDC updated their quarantine guidance to include 2 alternative timeframes that can be utilized. The gold standard and still primary recommendation or encouragement is the 14-day period. We know that is what appears to be the outside window of someone being exposed and developing illness would occur within 14 days after exposure. However, recognizing the difficult nature of implementing this, or some people, livelihoods relying on getting back to work, the CDC offered 2 alternatives. One would be a 10-day quarantine without the need for a test, so they would quarantine for 10 days and they could return back to normal activity on day 11, assuming that they had no symptoms and remained well. With that being said, they would still need to follow heightened precautions for the 14-day period, so still need to wear a mask, social distance whenever interacting with other individuals. Obviously, that's something that's not difficult to attain in the school because that's the current school's practice. The other caveat or other alternative would be a 7-day window or 7-day quarantine period with a negative PCR test. The negative PCR test or specimen could be collected anytime after day 6 with a return to work or normal activities on day 8. With that being said, once again, they would need to follow the precautions of masking, social distancing for the full 14-day period. However, they could return back to work or school. With that being said, it's important to remember that right now, the state's capacity through the Bureau of Public Health labs, turnaround time on a PCR test is 36 hours, and most of the commercial labs and other testings taking about 48 hours. So it's going to be difficult to hit that 8-day window on return, but it will be much shorter than the 14 days that we have been recommending up till now. Once again, ideally, the 14-day window is the best, but there are some alternatives that are available to us now, and those will be recommendations we make based on not only CDC guidance, but statewide public health guidance that was delivered to us. So that would be recommendations we make for essentially general public and school students and staff. The only group that these don't apply to are medical providers and staff. So anyone working in hospitals or long-term care facilities are not eligible for the 2 CDC alternatives. And with that being said, I'm happy to answer any questions or go over any other numbers.
Ms. Ziegler?
Thank you for joining us again. And I appreciate the update on the rates. I think it's interesting when we watch the news, there's a lot of data put out there, and sometimes without context, when they aggregate number of positive cases, and that's nationally. But so I appreciate you meeting with us regularly to update us. I know something I've always constantly request is the updates on hospitalization and capacity. I know previously today a member mentioned that Sarasota County hospitals are nearing capacity. I have some numbers, but I'm not sure if they are as updated, but I think we're looking at about 76% occupancy, and of that, the rate for COVID-related is substantially lower. And I guess my question is, as we watch that, because that is very important, how that compares to last year, as influenza rates oftentimes cause not that I'm comparing COVID to influenza, I'm just saying that there is oftentimes an uptick in limited capacities at hospitals during the flu season. So could you give us some kind of update? I don't need specified numbers as comparison, but just how we're trending.
Sure, so happy to. You're exactly right. Generally this time of year, we see increases in hospitalizations, probably driven by 2 things. One, we see an influx in snowbirds or transient residents that move to Sarasota during this time of year. So hospitals are typically seeing an increase in the number of individuals hospitalized. And also, you're exactly right, flu season is one of the things that drives that increase. I don't know if it's masking. We're still early in our flu season, so there's a lot still to be seen, but fortunately we haven't seen a dramatic increase or numbers, what we would typically see this time of year as it relates to flu cases. So that's encouraging. We have seen, I don't have the percentages in front of me, we are starting to see an increase in total hospitalizations and the number of individuals diagnosed with COVID being hospitalized. As today, we're right at about 135 individuals in the hospital with COVID. If we go back to right around when school started, we were looking at less than 40. So we're definitely seeing an increase in the number of individuals hospitalized. But the other number that we want to look at is the number of individuals that are in the ICU. And total ICU admissions have slightly increased, but however remain pretty static over that time frame. And the number of individuals with COVID in the ICU has increased, but it's not increased in proportion with the total number of people diagnosed with COVID and admitted to the hospital. And that's evidence of how much we've learned about COVID from a medical management standpoint. So the ability to keep people as a regular admission in the hospital and not elevated to an ICU admission. So numbers are increasing. It's hard to say if we are on pace or ahead of where we would be if we had a typical flu season, because that's not a number I typically track. But we are seeing an increase as it relates to COVID.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tom Edwards?
I just want to point out, which I'm so glad that you mentioned, that the school district numbers are as positive as they are. And I think that it's important to reiterate that the positivity rate within the school district is substantially lower than it has been in relationship to the community. And I put that to the point of seeing the teachers and the students masked and social distancing when possible, and they really are doing a good job. And even further, that our families are supporting those issues and making sure that we can keep schools open. But I just want to point out that we're still we're in your hands. And in the last executive order, the exact language that we got is the district will continue to assure all brick and mortar schools will continue to be open 5 days a week for all students, subject to the advice and orders of the Florida Department of Health and local health departments. So it's very, very important that we keep this line of communication open. I know Dr. Asplin keeps close tabs, and Jody and his team are close, but we're in your hands, and we appreciate any heads up that you can give us along the way.
Well, thank you. That's appreciated. I'll tell you that we have a relationship between the health department and the district that's envied by many of my peers throughout the state. So I'm very thankful for the relationship we have and the communication that we have. It makes all of this, as difficult as it is, much easier.
I have a few questions that I've heard from the community, and one of them is the test. Prior to this new ruling coming out, we would only be testing people, the school district, the state still has there's one set up, but the school district has 3 sites set up. And before we would only test somebody with symptoms. Now that they can come back with a negative test, can they go through you, or how would they go about getting that negative test if they don't have symptoms?
So the 3 sites that we have in partnership with the district, we've got testing available for about an hour and a half at each of those facilities. That's our capacity right now. So yes, individuals who are contacts and need a negative PCR at this time can come to those locations. I will tell you that, as I said, the time frame and capacity is limited right now. So some people may need to go to one of the state-run sites at Cattleman or Robert Taylor, or use their primary care provider. They just have to make sure it's a PCR test. We're looking to onboard some more staff to expand our capacity at the district locations. But in all honesty, we won't be able to get all those people on and trained before winter break starts. So ideally, once we return from the winter break, we'll have expanded capacity to test more people at the district locations. We can do some now, but I can't guarantee that we can meet the complete demand.
Well, I would think that we would prioritize those who have symptoms before those who are looking for a negative test or something, because, I mean, don't we want
Yes, so obviously I still want to prioritize individuals who have symptoms and need to be tested so that they can be excluded as a case. But the quarantine guidelines would apply to individuals who have been exposed to a case and wish to end that quarantine early, regardless of symptoms. So we'd want them to be asymptomatic, obviously, because if they're symptomatic, then we don't want them in school. But if they're asymptomatic, they can get that negative test or get a test on day 6. And if it is negative, then they can return early as opposed to completing the complete 14-day quarantine. But yes, we want to prioritize ill people first.
Students and staff don't have to wait for you to tell them to quarantine. If they have somebody in their home that has tested positive, they should be quarantined on their own. They don't have to wait for you.
They do not have to wait for us.
And they shouldn't.
Yeah, if someone has a known exposure to a positive case, they should quarantine themselves. That is absolutely correct.
What about...
And they feel more than free to call us for any questions that they may have.
The other one is, if I've already had COVID, I haven't had COVID yet, but if somebody has already tested positive for COVID and got over it, do they still have to quarantine?
If it's within 90 days of their positivity, then no, they would not have to quarantine. This guidance may be changing sometime soon, but as long as it's within 90 days, they don't have to quarantine. There has been some limited evidence of reinfection after 90 days, very limited evidence on that. And so if it is after 90 days and they have another exposure, then we would recommend another 14-day quarantine.
Again, they should contact the Department of Health on that if there's questions about quarantining or not quarantining.
Exactly.
And to get...
I'd hate for someone to quarantine that they didn't need to, so they may think they've been exposed or think think something happened and they've really been doing what they're supposed to be doing and not have to quarantine at all.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? And again, I think it brings up to what Mr. Edwards said and what you said. When someone says the numbers are going up, we need to close the schools, I say the numbers that I have to look at and the superintendent and the rest of the board have to look at, as do you have to look at, sir, is the numbers on our dashboard for our schools. We aren't getting clusters in our schools, which means we're not getting the super spreaders within our schools. So that's why we don't need to close the schools. Is that accurate?
That's exactly right. If you look at the total number of cases, the percent, total number of cases versus the total number of students that are in our district, the percentage is very, very small. So that at this time wouldn't drive us to recommend closing a school. And obviously the high schools seem to be a little bit more problematic than the elementary and middle schools, but even in those situations, the percentage, doesn't warrant closing a school at this time. I do appreciate, I haven't had to deal with this personally yet, but I can't imagine the difficult nature with 400 plus students excluded on quarantine and that hardship on parents. But those things are paying dividends for us in the low numbers and transmission in the schools.
Yeah.
Or lack of transmission in the schools.
Yeah, and hopefully the end is near. All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Then we'll move on to the hearing of citizens. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. When the timer flashes yellow, 1 minute remains, and you will need to begin to summarize. You must stop when it turns red. Please note that respect for divergent viewpoints and civility will be shown at every board meeting. Whether you agree or disagree with the speaker, you should listen politely and respectfully without making any sounds of approval or disapproval, including this copying, of course, we're talking. And the board members are here to listen to you. This is not a time for debate, and the board will not take any formal action on your comments unless it's on an agenda item related to. And if your comments relate to a non-agenda items, the board may refer the matter to staff for a report prior to the board's next meeting. The board is committed to civility and decorum in the conduct of its meetings, and please assist us in maintaining a civil and constructive meeting environment by confining your comments to the issues and refraining from intemperate or rude remarks. With that, we will call our first citizen, Sharon Doria.
Good afternoon, and thank you for hearing me again today. I want to talk on two separate points. The first one was I read with interest the article in the Herald about the misplaced student in Sarasota County, and I can attest through personal experience, this is not an isolated incident. And I hope that you continue to investigate the placement of students in ESE and those students who should be in ESE and are being denied for various reasons. The second point I want to touch on was at the beginning of the pandemic, you put forward a do no harm policy. I would hope that that do no harm policy would extend to the teachers in this district as well. I've gotten calls again from teachers, one teacher telling me I'm drowning and I can't save myself. Another first-year teacher in a new position is given a performance review and has been told in 4 weeks you won't have your job. This is an unprecedented school year. Everything is new for everybody. And I'm going to suggest a moratorium on these negative situations within the school to give the teachers a chance to breathe. Because as you know, we're already short of subs. They're being pushed against the wall. They want to leave. You don't want them to leave. You have to start building these teachers up, especially new teachers, and cultivate a community of teachers who want to be here and aren't afraid to come and speak up. Thank you so much and have a Merry Christmas.
I'm sorry, Ashley?
Hello again. I was listening to the meeting earlier, and the workshops, I think it's definitely awesome if you guys do the 2 workshops, because even as citizens listening in on the workshops, it's hard for us to try to gather our thoughts around things, or we need to ask for additional information like financials and things like that, because some of us don't understand because we're not accountants. And it's nice that if you would wait on voting for the next meeting. So I hope you guys will, move forward with that plan. The other thing is, I do think, and this is what I've been trying to say, is you need more parents involved. You guys have, not you guys in general, but in general, I think so much has been put on the teachers, and it's not fair. And we need to build that relationship back between the parents and the teachers, that we want to be successful with our children and make sure everything goes as planned. The one thing I will say is I've been going over some public records, because I've said that before, and I noticed that if a teacher comes is against something that the board's put in place, it seems like they're asking where that person's teaching. I've seen a few board members asking where that person's teaching and who their superior is and things like that. And there's been talk of retaliation, and that's why teachers are afraid to speak up and speak their opinion. So I'm wondering what you guys can put into place where it's more of a anonymous comment, because I don't think, if I saw that, I wouldn't want to. As a teacher, I wouldn't want the board wanting to know who my boss is and things like that. I would want to relay that as, no, I don't agree with you, but let's work on these steps. So I don't know, Dr. Asplin, if there's something you can put in place, more of a survey that's anonymous, that teachers can say that. The other thing is, with the COVID and the testing, it is difficult to get testing done. I've had to have my son tested a couple times. He does wear a mask, but some pediatricians are refusing to test the child, and that's a problem for some parents as well. So keep that into mind with having the facilities for the school. And then the other thing is just look at the mask policies and the guidelines. Please make sure that at PE and recess, they're following these procedures. I know I've touched on that a couple of times, and I know that some schools are still not following that. So that's all I have to say, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. I just want to point out that procedurally, when we get emails from a parent or a teacher, we can't change what's happening in a school. That usually happens within the school, the administration, or the executive director. So when we want to know what a school they're at, it isn't to punish, but it's to find a solution. So if it's a high school student, that would go to a different person than if it was an elementary school person. And if any teacher does feel that they have been harassed because of that, that's another issue. But normally it's to find the solution, and in order to find the solution, we need to know what it is you're talking about, and that's to get the people on board to help the solution. But basically, solutions in a school happen normally in the school. We talked about that at our board meeting at our workshop this morning. Reina Bazzini.
Good afternoon. My name is Rana Bazzini, and I'm a resident of Sarasota. I'd first like to pick up on something that Ms. Rose spoke about this morning at the workshop, and that's the importance of the presentations and the moments of pride. Today's example was exemplary, and it's something that we very often lose touch base with, because we're not aware of all the really, really good things that happen. No one can deny that this has been, to put it mildly, an unusual year. Please know that I understand and sympathize with all that you have been put through and all that you must deal with. That doesn't imply I have no criticism, but hopefully it's respectful. However, that's not what I wish to speak about today. I am not familiar with social media, and this was sent to me. It was a posting on Sarasota County School District Transparency Project concerning Dr. Asplin and me, and it needs to be addressed. It's ironic that on a site that has transparency in its name, the post was anonymous. I have no idea who wrote it. It is correct in saying my age, 87, or as I like to say, I'm 22 years past my expiration date. And it's also true that I have referred to myself as a flaming liberal. That is usually in jest. Just ask my friends who really are flaming liberals. The statement that my opinion is more valuable to the Sarasota School Board than actual parents who take time off from work, show up at meetings, and send in emails couldn't be further from the truth. I wish it were true. Dr. Asplin has never met privately with me, nor has he confided in me or used the term disgust or nuisance referring to parents. That would be totally out of character. Accusing the school board of instituting liberal indoctrination would be laughable if it weren't so sad and such a gross misrepresentation. I can't comment on the Hope Scholarships as I don't know who handles them. Now, on a positive note, I'd like to address the Cultural Advisory Committee. I've spoken with Linda Termine, Dr. Asplin's assistant, and she's in the process of gathering names from all sectors of the community so that all voices will be heard. There's a saying in real estate, location, location, location. Regarding school board and school affairs, it's communication, communication, communication. So I hope when this committee is able to meet, we'll be able to put, oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. You got a lot in there already, though. Thank you.
Okay.
Nora Mitchell.
Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Nora Mitchell. I'm a sophomore at Booker High School, and I'm here once again to speak on behalf of Sarasota Students for Justice. We at Sarasota Students for Justice are here once again to discuss a recent survey that has been released to our students and to speak in support of integrating content regarding racism and the Black Lives Matter movement into our curriculum. As we approach the end of 2020, we must remember that while a new year means that we have signaled a period of renewal and can act as a fresh start, we must remember that when the clock strikes midnight, our problems don't disappear. The problems that continue to plague our school and school community will continue to exist and will continue to harm our students and members of our school communities. For the last few months, we at Sarasota Students for Justice has continuously posited that curriculum related to BLM and racism should be included and encouraged in our schools and school curriculum. We continue to stand by this assertion. We wholeheartedly believe that racism runs deeply in our schools and our curriculum and that it is important to remedy these issues. We cannot pretend that our schools are secular from our wider society because they aren't. We cannot ignore change. It is here and we must change and adapt as the world around us transforms. As this year comes to a close, we would also like to bring a new issue to the school board's attention. Recently, students were instructed to fill out a survey entitled 2020 High School Engagement Survey, which can be found in my SCS under the Productivity tab. The very first question asks students, I am A, and only provides two options, boy and girl. This question is extremely offensive as it disregards students' true gender identities and blatantly discriminates against those students who identify as a gender other than boy or girl. Not only is this question extremely disrespectful and ignorant, but this question also calls the validity of the results of this survey into question. This survey cannot properly examine the connection between students' engagement and their gender if they provide options that exclude certain students and preclude them from properly representing their true identity. Moreover, for a survey to garner accurate and valid results, the survey must be mutually exclusive and exhaustive. Because this survey does not include options that can represent all students' gender identities, the survey cannot definitively make any sort of connection between student engagement and interaction and one's gender. Hence, we at Sarasota Students for Justice are insisting that the school board investigate this matter and revise the survey so that it can include more inclusive options. As we approach the end of a very chaotic and atypical year, we are all faced with a period of reflection and resolution. We are at a point where we must reflect and question our choices and actions of the year, and to also resolve to make better choices in the new year. Therefore, the students of Sarasota Students for Justice hope that you will all take this time to reconsider our proposal and to fix this egregious question. Thank you so much, and have a happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have additions or corrections to the agenda. Superintendent?
The following item was added after the agenda was published. Item number 9, an addendum to the instructional classified personnel report.
May I have a motion?
I move approval of the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, well, I got to go back to my computer. I'm sorry, I think my computer stopped working on this while I was not listening. Oh, no, here it is. And it passes, I believe, is that 4-0? I can't see that far away. Okay, thank you. The next item, number 26. Oh, I guess it's number 27 now.
Motion to approve the 2021, 2022, and 2022, 2023 student calendars as presented to be advertised.
Second.
Any comment? Can somebody explain the calendars for us? Dr. Asplin?
Yes, each year we have a calendar committee that meets, and this year that committee met, and it's made up of many different unique members across our district, different departments, including school-based personnel, teachers, union members, also district personnel and parents. And those two calendars were created through that committee, and we discussed them today in our board workshop, and they are now on the agenda for approval to be advertised for 30 days to receive parent comment or community comment.
I think it's important to point out that the start date on both of those calendars is August 10th. It also shows a full week out for the Thanksgiving week. And but the holiday for the Christmas, the winter break, comes just because that Christmas actually falls on that weekend or that Friday. Those dates are shorter before Christmas, and we get almost a whole week in January off. So you want to look at those calendars. What it does is it breaks it down so that we have the 180 days before our break, our winter break, because some of our high school students are already complaining, wait a minute, we have to do our finals when we get back. We can't get the finals in unless we start on August 10th and have our breaks. So that's what that is. That's why those breaks are there and how those dates come about. But please, we start on the 10th, we end before Labor Day, before Memorial Day, and we've got a full week for Thanksgiving, and the winter break is a little different than some of the others. So please look at those dates, and we'll be advertised for 30 days and then come back for approval. So we're approving the advertisement now. I didn't check, was there any other cues? No. and the motion passes. Are there any comments from the members? Ms. Ziegler?
Thank you very much. I know Mrs. Benzini spoke to this and actually had this in my notes before she said that, but we agree. I was thinking today as we came into the board meeting and listening to the special presentations that I'm very excited that we can showcase the multitude of amazing things that are happening in this district. I think there's no shortage of what to be proud of. With that said, and I will choose my words very wisely here, I can't overlook areas of concern and opportunities for improvement. Today, in our agenda, we finalized the settlement of a case that has caused me great concern, and I certainly agree with it. It has caused great concern to this community. And as the student speaker had just referenced, is that just because the clock strikes at midnight, you may have the opportunity to turn a page, but that doesn't mean problems don't exist. And so, as a learning educational institution, as an opportunity to reflect and improve upon our goal and our mission, I am very eager to evaluate and look back and reflect as to what transpired. I know we are pending a state investigation, but I just want to recertify my commitment to our goal to ensure that every child has access to a quality education, and to my utmost heartfelt apology to anyone who has been harmed in this. And again, I'll leave my comments at that.
Mr. Edwards?
On the consent agenda, we had item number 11, and I just wanted to highlight that that was a pretty big number for me to digest, so I did some research, and what I found is not only did our school district manage to get this budgeted and paid for, but it's for the safety of our students and our teachers. And basically, the analogy that I can give is during 9/11, one of the experiences that everyone learned from was that all of the first responders in that national disaster were speaking on a different channel and talking on a different radio channel, and not everyone could help each other through that process. And our school district has been able to improve that by this particular contract. So I just wanted to let the community know that we've done this for the betterment of the school district. In any disaster, we'll all be speaking on the same channel.
And what he's talking about is the contract with Motorola for the devices that they'll have at our school. Their
800 megahertz radio.
Yeah, radio system. Next, we have Karen Rose.
Yes, I'd just like to offer a comment relative to the quality of our system, as well as any top-notch education system, having a balance of weights, where in the case that I want to reference, I just want to acknowledge our student advocates that have come forth and supported students in our system, students with special needs, and say how much we appreciate your engagement, your input, and along with that, balance it out with, I also want to recognize all of our teachers at large and the work that they put forth to make sure every one of our students are successful.
And we have our student rep, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you so much. I wanted to talk about two comments that were made about educators. I go to school at Riverview High School, so I do have a connection with so many educators and teachers in the community. And they were completely valid. One, when Sharon came up, she said, and I quote, "Give teachers a chance to breathe." And from my experience in the past year, I've met with so many of my educators who we can all agree are the foundation to our society and to our future. Who've been stressed and put under a lot of stress because of this pandemic. So I think it's important to not only recognize our educators, which I think we can all do, and recognize their good work, but to also take action and realize that so many of our teachers who are so valuable to our community and to our society are being put under a lot of stress that a lot of times is becoming unmanageable. Thank you.
Dr. Brennan? Dr. Asplin?
Thank you. I just wanted to first of all, thank you to our speakers. I really appreciate that information that I heard this afternoon. I really do. And I I'm going to take that back to our departments and our folks in our cabinet and talk through that. So thank you very much for that information from our speakers. Appreciate it. And also want to thank our police officers once again. Thank you so much for what you do and for being here and what you do every single day in our schools. Really do appreciate everything. So thank you. And then also to our staff for being here for our workshop today and being prepared and having all the information that you shared today. Thank you so much for all of that. And our IT folks, thank you, Jamal and Chris. Appreciate everything that you do as well. Thank you.
And I wanted to bring up that last month through the Embracing Our Differences group, they had a reading day, and while most of it was done virtually via Zoom, as a school board member, I was allowed to go into the school, and I went down to Cranberry, and I went to Ms. Obester's class, and I guess her neighbor also wanted me to come in and read Ms. Calandra's class, and I got a whole bunch of thank you notes here from them. The book was on the bucket list, and a bucket filler, and your bucket is basically what your good feelings, and it's up to you to fill that bucket with good feelings. And then they had bucket dippers who can come down and you can dip into somebody else's bucket by saying nasty things to them, or they can dip into yours by making you feel bad. But there's a secret weapon, and that is a lid. You can put a lid on it to keep somebody from dipping into your bucket, because that means you have control over your feelings, and you determine who you're going to let change your day. And it was a great book, and I really appreciate all the thank you notes I got from Cranberry on that. Our next work session is scheduled. There's 2 different changes here. We're going to have a work session on Thursday, January 7th. That's the first meeting of the month. We're tentatively setting that at 3 p.m., and that'll be followed by a board meeting at 6:30 p.m. The reason it's on Thursday is to give staff time when we come back from the winter break to get the materials and everything together for the meeting. We felt Tuesday was a little quick. And so that's why we've done it on Thursday. Plus, we are going to be looking at having additional board workshops to get some of the things done so that we don't have a workshop in the morning and vote on it in the afternoon, so that it'll give the public more time to talk and listen and reach out to us on that. Oh, our student rep, were you up again?
I just have one final comment, if that's okay. So when Nora came up from Students for Justice, I think she mentioned a very important issue that we can all get behind, and that's equitable education. She talked about how the curriculum of racism and how to get past our country's racism should obviously be included. And I did some research on this because as a student rep, I did take it upon myself to talk to so many of my peers and ask them what they wanted me to talk about. And a majority said equitable education and culturally responsive education. They mentioned, and a lot of them are from minority backgrounds, they mentioned how their textbooks contain cultural biases, but they have to keep on learning from them. They mentioned how their educators aren't trained to fully understand their rich cultural backgrounds, and they don't adjust their instruction to that. They've told me that a majority of authors that they read in classrooms are not representative of them or their experiences. And then they even shared with me their experiences of discrimination within our own very school system. I found out that when a black or white student is committing a similar infraction in our school, black students are suspended at a rate of 3 times more. So we can obviously see how discrimination and these ideas of racism and inequitable education impact our own school systems. And I find it so important that Nora came up and shared her experiences and shared how important it is to make sure that equity is the norm and not the exception in our schools. I oftentimes say that the minorities in our school system have so much potential, but they are so limited by the expectations and by the barriers set up by our education system. So I think as we move forward, I'm not going to be the student rep for any further meetings, but as we move forward, I highly encourage the school board to take action into this, especially in a time where our nation is healing and talking about these important issues.
Thank you. We brought that up. It's something similar to that in our workshop this morning at the FSBA. One of the general sessions was about if we want to raise the student achievement, we have to raise our expectations. Just because a student is a minority or just because a student comes from poverty doesn't necessarily mean they're not going to perform as well. They've got the ability, and we need to be able to reach out to that ability. And I know as we're working on our strategic plan, we will be looking at that. But we also have to look at, are we going to be training our teachers now and adding something else onto their list of things to do? And that's kind of, where we're at. We had a problem at the beginning of the year when we were trying to train teachers how to work concurrently, and then we were also trying to change them and how to work more equitably and understand those things. And it's how much more can we put on their plate? So we have to be able to put it on their plate without putting too much on their plate. But we're going to be working on our strategic plan, and those things we will be addressing, and we will be doing this in an open forum. Ms. Rose?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to thank you, George, for being a student who's come forth and is engaging in the conversation. It's very rich, and I truly appreciate it. And I hope you are a model and an encouragement for, as students come and have the opportunity to sit on our board, that they also share their perspective, and that we can take that as an opportunity to learn. And I want to recognize you and thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we are done now, and we move to adjourn. Thank you.